Okay, folks, Monday morning edition. We're gonna do some stuff that, well, we're gonna clean some of this shit up. We got invaded by paint invasion. We got all the decals done on the desert vehicles last night. And well, anyways, on the trucks. So I don't have one on the universal carrier yet. Well, we're going to do the German armored cars now. The 222s. And I'm going to use the, it gives me two here. That's weird. These are the ones that it came with. And it's for 4 vehicles, but only give you 2 crosses. And a couple of them have, one's going to have one here on the top, and they all have ones on the back. So let me rethink that. I got plenty of them. I just don't want to use that. But the Africa Corps symbols that are on here are actually 2-piece. And you can put the 2 evil pieces together to make one. They're petting house decals that I bought before I realized I really don't like these. So I really have nothing to lose by trying them. If they don't work out, I'm just going to toss them. So I am going to give that a shot. But they are 2-piece decals, and they are at an angle. So you've got to put the 2 splits there of the crooked spider together. Let's show you in the black what they look like. Actually, I don't know if that's clear. I don't know where the focus point is on this. Anyhow, we're not doing them in black, we're doing them in white. But we're going to attempt to put these together. So I want to start off by cutting This is actually 2 of them that are in here. And they're really hard to see. And because the backing paper color. And I don't think these are going to work out, so excuse me for being negative, but that's just my experience with petting houses. I had a bad experience with them, and that's not even these decals. So I'm going to cut this pretty close. Okay, that's a nothing. Pretty close to that palm as well. Now, cutting on that line, I don't think I'm going to be able to do that. I think I'm going to have to overlap them. Good morning, Marcus. Trying to put the 2-piece Africa Corps symbols on them from Petting House, which, like I said, I've had bad experience with them before. We're going to put it here on this location, or attempt to. And it's just hard to see because of the backing color. I'm going to get close, but I don't want to cut on that angle because it's almost impossible to line those two things up. But I have lots of these, and if I don't use them, it's just something I don't use. So I really don't have anything to. I have I have no plans on ever purchasing Petting House decals again. There you go. Busy weekend for me. Sorry I missed you. There's Airfix models. They are not. They're the ones from Dragon. They're the Dragon ones. Yeah, they look like Airfix because they have no roof, but I've got the little, I've got the photo etch stuff. And I got some crew figures that I'm planning on putting inside of them, maybe. And if it's too frustrating, then I'll close them up and wish them a good day. It looks like I didn't leave a place for this. See, one of these is going to have the crosses back here, and the other one's going to have them here, right on their side. There's a spot for it on the back. One I'm going to put on the roof. Maybe both of them. But there's only a place for put the Africa Core palm in one place over here. Yeah, I had a pretty busy weekend as well. Yesterday was pretty busy. I mean, other than I did the paint things in the morning. Did I miss anything else? Let's see here. I think I see part of it coming up. I don't think this is going to work. Because these decals are pretty thick, and now having to layer one on top of another, I'm not getting a good vibe about it. But if anybody can do it, I can do it. So. So far, so good. That's pretty darn close. Okay, that looks pretty good. Unfortunately, we're just gonna have to see how it works out. You know, you've got my complaint with these decals is that they're not individually cut, and on top of that, they're thick. So taking a thick decal and then on top of putting a thick decal, putting another one on top of another one is going to make this spot really thick. But we'll see. I've got nothing to lose. It's either that or I don't use them. So, yeah. How long do I got to wait to use the microsol? This is so you press down on this a little bit more. Oh, it moved ever so slightly. I think it did. There we go. We're going to leave that be. I think it'll work. I think it'll be okay. I got to be really careful when I dry brush. I don't want to dry brush over that because any of those little thicknesses will end up, you know, you'll get a line on it. Yes, the deck palm. Yep, the deck palm is splitting. It's splitting at an angle. So you got half of the swastika on one side and half of the swastika on the other, and it's not straight across, it's at an angle. So you can't cut on that angle. Or you could, but I mean, you'd have to use I was going to say a stethoscope. No, you don't cut with that. Cut it out. Not with a stethoscope. Yeah, so this is the Balkan kreuzes that come with the 222. So let's go ahead and put those on there. From Dragon, which this stuff's just too thin. It's too fiddly. It's not durable. I can build it. It's not a building issue. This isn't going to last in a while. Tell me this is an all-one decal. It is not. Thank you, Jesus. All right, I'm going to cut all 4 of them out. And these are the smaller ones, so I'm going to make sure, I think I have ones that are larger that I want to use, that I could potentially use. So I want to make sure that they're, that we use them for that. I want to make sure they're not, we put these in the places that are going to be small. So all these extra clippings. This is really creative how they make you do this. Well, they are individually, but I wanna trim them up because if they got any extra material, then they're not. Sometimes they don't fit the places I want them to, and they got the end of it that's silvering. Not really silvering, but coming up around the edge. One more to finish the cut. Grab this and hold it underwater. You drowning, waterboarding your decals. Yeah, I personally don't like busy weekends. But yeah, we had a lot of stuff to do. Moved my daughter. Had a work truck here, so might as well picked up some other things that are too big for our normal size vehicles. Had a model meeting holiday party yesterday. What else? Came back, wife wanted to put the TV up in the spare room. A pretty big room, pretty big TV for the spare room, but it's the size TV that was in there before. The second TV watching room. So if somebody comes over and stays with us and they're a TV addict, they're not hogging the middle of the whole house. So our house is basically one big room. You know, we've got a kitchen, living room, family room all together, which that's our preference. But if somebody wants to be there to watch TV, like everybody else has a damn TV on too. So go to your room. Okay, this is the one that has the Balkan Kreuz in the middle of it. Okay. Yeah, it took forever to clip the little things. And this is how the, to me, instructions said to put them on there. And this is how the Airfix instructions go on there. And there's an incongruency. These, and I believe these are incorrect, but the unit of service markings are on this side, and then the Jeribo is here. And then if you flip it, see, this one has the unit of service, it has the Jeribo on both of the same side. And I don't think this is correct. I think they're alternated. So you always have the unit symbol on the right hand side of the back, but that's how these decals said. So I'm like, fuck it, I ain't thinking about it. I could just blame it on somebody else. It's not that big of a deal for me. And but I did look into it, so if it's wrong, you can contact Mr. Airfix himself or herself. Contact Mr. Airfix herself. Hey, that's a thing now. At least on the work front, I can see the holiday slowdown beginning. Busy first part of the week, but very little on the schedule after. On the schedule. Yeah, this is one of these holidays coming up, though, that everybody's off, so I like those. I don't like the ones where I'm off and nobody else is. That creates turmoil for me. All right, where did it go? Did it go in the center of that panel? Do I still have the instructions for this thing out here? I should. I'm terrible about putting things away when I pull them out. Oh, I took pictures. That's what it was. Oh, here's a little clock symbol. Now, turn off the upcoming alarm. It's in the middle of that panel. Okay, so wherever that panel is. Yeah, where'd that little corner of, here it is. Okay, let's do the same thing on this side. Yep, we shifted at the last minute. That's okay. There we go. And then this one, we're putting it on the quarter panels. Just to be different, I've seen both. So this one's gonna go here. And I'm gonna put it in the same location on the opposite side, even though there's not a gas can or whatever that thing is in the way. Water tank. And I would guess that it would be lined up with the top of that, not at an angle like this. Let's see if I guessed correctly. Yep. Yep. I don't know if I'm gonna paint one of these as a water can. I actually don't like the look of it being painted as a water can. Just something about that stripe just looks weird. I mean, these things need gas too. The plan is to work on the Italian car this week and begin the grant next week. All right, now this has a space for, we want one here, we want one here, and we want one up there, and then one in the back. So I'm not worried about license plates at this moment. Let's see if I can get an inkling of whether or not this is going to lay. No, I can't really get an inkling of that. Well, I got a spot over on this side that I'm probably gonna put the palm at, and then this palm, I guess I'll forego going putting it on this side, and I'll do it up front there as well. Okay, I'm fine moving forward with these palm trees because I already have them. So I just cut one off, or yeah, this is just an empty piece. I think I just cut one. Yep, just extra stuff. So let's see. I'm gonna want one, definitely two more. And we're gonna cut this extra flash off. Let's cut these decals in half. And let's get closer here. If the backing paper was a different color, it'd be easier. And that's without my glasses on, so I got supervision. I'm surprised I haven't found any like complaints about these decals on the internet. Maybe nobody's buying them. That'll work. Might as well get the other one going. Yeah, this is extremely time consuming. Which I know has got to be really frustrating for a lot of people. But not me, as I didn't make any plans. Holy jumping Mexican bean. I think I see a palm there. Now, which one of these has the other end of it. I hope it's not this one. Man, I feel like I lost it. No, it's this one. That looks too narrow. I may have gotten too close. No big deal. I only got 20 more. Yeah, it looks good as long as you can keep, as long as it's not a thickness issue. But I got the color match. This is how I wanted it with the half track. The order you do things does matter. The order you put the paint on, it does make a difference. These are the best decals, the Hasegawa ones. I think those are Hasegawa ones. Those always work well. Are they? I don't know who they are. All right, let's. Where's the brush and the? Let's go ahead and put this one down. Oh, I don't have a gloss coat there. Well, I guess I'll have to stop what you're doing. Now I know why people just cover the whole damn thing in gloss. It's usually not an issue for any of these vehicles that I do. These are just kind of disjointed in where they have things marked. Okay, well, we're not going to be able to finish that one. That's okay. Not right now. I'll wait a few minutes. This stuff dries really quick. And this one doesn't have one there. But does have, it does. Yes, it does. Over here. Yeah, once the decal is wet, you can tell where the ends of it are. Because the paper gets darker, it gets into a blue, but it's like damn near white. Which was up? Man, it's hard to tell. That was easier than the first one. That's good. It should be easier as I go along. press on it. Don't slide it as I'm... Okay, well. I think of all of these steps with the decals, the most important one is the gloss coat. If you get told you can only do one thing, do the gloss coat. That's the important one. Get that surface smooth. What time is it? Okay. Good, I think. I woke up earlier than my normal time today, which got me to start breakfast a little earlier. Huh. It slipped a little bit right there. Let's slip it back. All right, now, I don't think I pulled these out. For some reason, I didn't pull them out. And that's the extra crosses. For the front and the back there. You know what? These are the same. These are some of Marcus's decals here. We'll go ahead and use those two. These little Balkan crosses there. We just need to cut them down. Now, these are relatively small, so we'll use these two for the back on both of these. And I don't really want to cut this into two different, like these have palm trees. I would just have to paint a little swastika on them. So that, those are also useful. Let's just go big around this. The Marcus decals. How many 172nd/176 scale tanks do you figure you have? Built and unbuilt. All nations. Gonna go to the M there. I forget who makes these, but these actually lay pretty darn flat. I don't remember decals ever not laying flat until recently. waterboard this decal. What? Wow, I got some catching up to do. 477 tanks AFVs built. Built probably less than 30 not built. Okay, so you got a lot more built than non-built. That's a lot, man. I thought I had a lot. Nope. We're gonna have to start calling you New York Zhao. That's a lot, man. I mean, I have a lot. The problem is I've got, it's all different areas. I probably have 60 vehicles, just Soviets, built. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. I'm a good guesser. I have about 60 Soviet vehicles built. Yeah, I got about half as many as you do, maybe a little less. So you can shift out of 6th gear now, even one. Oh man. All right, and now we're going to set that off to the side. We're going to set this off to the side. What did I have this one here for? The palm trees? No, these are really good. These are the Fujimi ones. The Fujimi decals are actually pretty good. Does this have license plate shit? No, I don't see any of them that are an angle. These look like they're thick, but they're not. Were the ones for the... And I found out, I'm like, what do I need these white things for? I could paint the centers black and they're useful. If I don't paint the centers black, I have no use for that. All right, let's get a couple of... Yeah, stowage is, I'd end up taking forever if we had to do that also. Let's see what we got here. Okay, this one's larger, and I don't mind that. That'll register a little bit. Let's go over here and do... Yeah, the question is, I have a set from Skytrax. There's just Balkenkreuz after Balkenkreuz, and I don't see it in here. Well, we're going to use these. More Marcus decals. I don't know if I want them on both of them. on this side to be able to see where the edge is. And let's go waterboard these. Yeah, the armored cars definitely. I'm gonna put all of them on them. The armored cars definitely had a lot of recognition markings. They're out in no man's land, where the front lines are fluid. Okay, now we can take this stuff and some goes there and some goes there, and we go here and we go there. Let's start with the ones on the rear first. It's funny, the story of this color with the half track. I wasn't happy with it. And then I just threw that green ochre on it. And it just kind of, all the problems worked out of it. Yeah, if you have this vision of what things look like and it doesn't come up like that vision, it's a problem. I mean, I should be able to accomplish that. I mean, it's not my first rodeo. I'm not trying to do anything. I mean, if I could do the counter scheme and be happy with it, I mean, that's the craziest thing I've done. And doing that with the airbrush. And you still have to touch it up a little bit with the paintbrush, but it was just a little bit. Oh, this is a decal that's kind of shattering. Well, we better get it into where it needs to be. And not screw with it. These decals are out of register just a little bit. I gotta be careful moving this. Let's try to move this in a spot where there's no black. But trimming the edges made a big difference on the register business. Like, a lot better. Okay, here goes. Uh-oh. Yeah, it has too much white. That's an easy fix. That's an easy fix. Gotcha. What's up, Kevin? Some of mine, some are from kids my brothers and friends had always took extra decals that come in handy because like PSC which don't have any. Is there an advantage using scale over this scale over micro armor? Well, I did micro armor, and I think the infantry in micro armor is really unsatisfactory. It's unsatisfying playing infantry in micro armor. They're just little blobs. They can see them. It's just not very. It doesn't do it for me. It just depends what you want to simulate, you know? Now, I can't imagine doing this in 28 millimeter. The vehicles are too expensive. I mean, they do have stuff, nice stuff like those Rubicon models, where you buy a model of the Panzer III and it gives you options to build every single Panzer III in there, I think, or damn near all of them. So I'm a bit jealous in that respect, but I'm probably going to name them both. I'm probably going to give them a little hand paint, a little name on them, like Heidi, and give them a couple little girl names. That was like putting girlfriend names on there. Got to have a way to identify them. Armored cars tended to have names, not numbers for whatever reason. But micro armor's fine. I mean, I just I hate the infantry of micro armor, and they're expensive. They're really expensive now. They were always expensive. They're just really expensive now. But they must be selling because they continually add things every month. Every month they add new things for micro armor. But I haven't played with micro armor since about 1994, probably. So, but we got this color about where we want it to be. It's darker than the British. The British just need to be sealed. I need to dust over some of those decals a little bit. Now, this does have the license plate markings for the back. I'm probably not going to use them because I've got one set here already made and one set here to make. So you're talking about layering a lot of decals on top of other decals. Nah, I'd rather not do that. So I'll just probably paint them white and put some jibber jabber on there. I worked on the other ones. You have some of the Gale Force 9 scale models. Is that 15s? I think they're the ones that make the 15s. Okay, so we got a couple things we can do in the limited amount of time that we have left here. But I did go to Pussyfoot's Paradise, and they had moved. They had moved. I found out from one of the people at the shop at the event yesterday that they had moved. So I would have gone to the downtown location and realized they weren't there. But they moved to a more convenient location. But what's going on here? About a wanted to restock on some stuff in case there's a shortage. Honestly, I'm surprised they're even selling them. There's one of these activist looking places that probably would be like, oh, we're not selling this product anymore. Like, okay, well, enjoy choking on the inventory, you know? But I was talking to some of the modelers yesterday. They were older guys. Like I said, they're 10 years older than me, and maybe even more than that. And a couple of them were, yeah, I'm older than that, maybe 20 years older than some of them. They were saying that, yeah, they came to this town where there was like all the Vietnam protests and tear gas and shit like that. It was like, yeah, the protesters now, people that the students aren't very activist like. And I think students are a lot more activist, or they're a lot more vocal than when I was in college. When I was in college, there was, nobody nobody did that kind of stuff. But I guess 20 years before I was in college, people were just out of control, for better or for worse. I can't imagine being in a place where they got to use tear gas. Like, they said they were sitting on using ball bearings and what do you call those things? Shooting ball bearings at cops and stuff. I'm like, hey, these people get disciplined. I guess freaking marijuana makes people crazy. I just haven't been. I just guess I've just never been wild enough. I don't want to live through that shit. Slingshots, yeah, exactly. Slingshots. Slingshots at cops. What the hell's wrong with you, man? I'll say it again. Every single time I hear about anybody protesting anything, it's all there's no way I can support them because they always do it the wrong way. And I don't know what the right way is, but attacking people or destroying things that have nothing to do with what you're protesting is not the right way. I don't like what's going on in my house. I'm gonna with my life. I'm gonna go burn your house down. I'm not on your side, dude. I don't care what you're protesting. And they always do something like that. I want to get people's attention. I'm going to side with the communists. Sorry, I'm not on your side. You know? Maybe it works with some people, but it alienates a lot of us. Okay, where is one of these? Aha! This one. And I don't know how some of these decals are going to work, if I'm going to be able to see the edge on them. It'll, it'll, it will all be fine in the end. It'll all will turn out just fine. It's only model. What happened there? How did that get stuck in that position? Voodoo vehicle. I was talking to somebody that I got a whole stack of swastikas from when I was doing 148. No, not 148, but when I was doing 135th scale modeling and 172nd. If I needed any swastikas for planes, there's many companies that don't make them. That don't make them at all. Like you can't even assemble them together. They just weren't included. And I don't know if that's still the case. I think it just depends on different brands or where they're being sold. But I was like, I need to bring those to the model meeting. Maybe somebody there can use them. I just don't think. I mean, I may keep a few, but I just don't see. Well, I don't know when I'm going to build a German plane. I mean, I'm not exactly in a hurry to do that. I was telling him I saw this air show where this guy had a 109G restored that he was flying around, and they had taken they still had the swastika on it, but it had the tips off of it, so it just looked like an X. It just had like the center X in it, and I'm like, it doesn't offend me either way, but I wouldn't want to fly in a plane that has that symbol on it and anything. It's just gonna be like bad vibes to like crash. You know, there was a hell, it's probably 20 years ago. There was a fly-in of a B-17 and a Heinkel 111 at our local airport. And it's pretty creepy to see a swastika that's 3 foot across. It's just like bad vibes. Doesn't offend me. It's just like, I don't want to spend the night in that thing. It's just something about like, I shouldn't be doing this kind of thing. Now, a little model doesn't matter, especially if you send it out here and they're, hey, you see that little Nazi bastard? Go shoot him. It's like we're doing it right. But I don't want to build a Messerschmitt without that on the tail. It's wrong. So instead of eliminating it, you should say, you see these crooked spider guys? They were really bad folks. Every time you see one, it's an opportunity to tell people how bad they were. Instead of like just like sweep it under the carpet and didn't exist. Should be the same attitude that people have with actors. Oh, you're a terrible person. Why? You portrayed a Nazi in a movie. Yeah, it's just a portrayal, dude. You know? We're not pro any of that stuff. They don't have that. They're like, oh, that's okay. But you can't, we don't want to see models with little swastikas on them. Which one's really worse? But it's funny because anytime anybody ever mentions Prince Harry, which doesn't happen very often, that's the first thing I think of. The time he showed up dressed as some Nazi to a party, thought it was cute. Like, not cute. It's different if you're going to be in a movie or something like that, but just showing up dressed like that, that's just like, make people wonder if you're well or not. Well, you are one of the royals, so you're probably not well. I'm sure my British viewers remember that. I mean, I don't keep up with what happens across the pond, but if something like that, if something makes its way over here, it's probably something pretty significant. And it was probably, I don't know, 20 years ago, 15 years ago, something like that. Like 18, 20, 21, or whatever, whenever it happened. I don't even know how old he is. All I know is using some Gestapo type outfit or something like that. I don't know if it was a brown shirt or Gestapo type outfit, but he had a one of them crooked spider armband things. Like that's not even dressed as a soldier. That's like that's really bad guys. Those are just looking for papers and extermination. You can't even say, "Oh, we're just out fighting communists." No, none oil, no, none oil to the rescue. Good lord. Jeffrey was saying that Nuln was one of the Warhammer provinces. I said, well, why don't they make Nuln red? Like, where's Agrax? These made up names. What's this one? Steel Legion Drab. Well, that's probably a name of a unit. Yeah, Agrax Earthshade. I wonder, is the Agrax good eating? Hey, Jeffrey, there was some of his family members who supported the Crooked Spider Brigade. Really? Well, that's not cool. I'll say it again. We have too much government, and that's like way too much government. and and they did a lot of bad shit. And they did a lot of bad shit. They had lots of opportunities to do good things. They just didn't do it. Like they could have gone to Russia and liberated all those people, right? I mean, it'd still be warmongers starting world wars and shit like that, but at least they could have liberated people. At least like we're here to kill Stalinists. Like I can get behind that. I mean, you can't exterminate the population on your way to do that. I mean, that's that doesn't work well. But that's not what they were doing. Why do you guys put up? What do you guys put up with them silly royals, anyways? Fortunately, he abdicated. Yeah, that dude. That was in 36, right? What was his name? Edward? Was he an Edward? He was replaced by the stutterer, right? Fucking Nazi. I actually saw that movie, and the movie was actually okay. It was entertaining. When you see a movie, they're like, man, this is gonna be boring as shit, and you're like, man, this is actually entertaining. That's a good movie. Although I am a bit biased when an actor plays somebody famous and they don't look like the famous person. It throws me off, which is why I couldn't watch the Finest Hour movie. I tried watching it I couldn't even make it to the Finest Hour. I made it to about 30 minutes, and I lost interest. And I like Gary Oldman. I like Gary Oldman a lot, actually. Um, but it was just distracting how they tried to make him look like him and didn't. But it's probably a good thing that somebody doesn't look like Churchill. Poor guy. Russians didn't read Mein Kampf. Well, what kind of a dumbass would like lay out exactly what he was doing? A crazy dumbass. I haven't read Mein Kampf, and I probably never will. I don't want to listen to that. I wouldn't read anything that's Mein Kampfish that's not by a Nazi. So in other words, if it was like a book, a political book like that was like non-offensive and not like exterminate people, I still wouldn't read it. It doesn't. It's just something I'm not interested in. In other words, the reason I haven't read Mein Kampf isn't because it's offensive. It's just it's a type of book I would never read. I don't read stuff like that. I've never read 1984 or all those Animal Farm. I don't read those political type things. They just don't interest me. Atlas Shrugged or you know. All right, guys, have a good day. You too, man. Maybe we'll see you later tonight. There's too many like things that interest me to read things that just don't interest me. Hell, I didn't even read Lord of the Flies, and it was assigned. That's kind of a political thing, I guess. Kind of. The original Survivor. Except I don't think there was any voting in Lord of the... Well, there might have been. Tom Selleck as Eisenhower, John Wayne as Genghis Khan. So, I didn't grow up really watching Tom Selleck and anything. I'm distracted by mustaches. I don't mean that in a good way, just kind of. But, and I don't really follow actors or think much of them, but I've seen Tom Selleck on many interviews, and he seems like a stand up guy. I mean, he is in Hollywood, so you never know. But how did he do in Eisenhower other than it was extremely distracting, right? I mean, well, the one thing is this Tom Selleck without a mustache, you don't really know who he is. I mean, he could look like anybody else. This book that I'm reading, I don't know much about Eisenhower other than, what's, obvious. Because he's up at a level that just doesn't interest me. He's up that strategic level of generalship that I don't really want to read about. It has too much about logistics. And yeah, logistics are important. I just don't want to read about it. Like when I'm playing a logistics game, I do logistics for a living. I don't want to play a logistics game on the tabletop. And but I'm reading this book that he's in, and there's not knowing anything about him, and he's like, this part about there's this quote that he has um, during Operation Torch, and he was trying to do these negotiations with these French generals that either Vichy or they're Free French or whatever, and he made some comment in the book that was like, I've had it with these fucking frogs. Because I always associated Eisenhower as somebody who's not hot blooded. I don't mean he's a sissy by any stretch of the imagination, but just like chill, not like a Patton, not like he's gonna get in your face and we're gonna give him atomic wedgies and we're gonna that kind of stuff. Just kind of a more balanced, more political. And that was pretty funny. Just reading the narrator say that. So who else plays? Oh, you forgot to do. You forgot what's his name is MacArthur, which I haven't seen it because I just like he doesn't even remotely look like Tommy Lee Jones is MacArthur, right? But a lot of these guys that I don't really know much about. It's interesting going back 60 years after you hear about him. 60, no, no, hold on a second. 40 years after you hear about him for the first time. And like finding out details that you just don't know. Like you can read about Eisenhower and different things and the things I encounter, and you never find out any specific stuff about his personality. You know, that he likes this or he doesn't like that, or this pisses him off, or he doesn't like broccoli, or he doesn't like people. You don't find out those. I don't. I'm not saying he doesn't like broccoli. I'm just saying all those kind of details about a character they don't ever come across, as opposed to somebody like Patton. You find out about Patton stuff a lot more than you do like, or I have more than Eisenhower, and MacArthur for that matter. And MacArthur has is a really interesting character. Yes, I don't really know anything about him until I've started reading this specific war book, and he's really a fascinating character. For whatever his strengths and weaknesses happen to be, he's an interesting character because it just seems like he's unlike a lot of other people. For better or for worse. You know, so but this book that was recommended to me, it's called An Army at Dawn. It's the first of a three-part book. It's just it's really fascinating because there's so many things that I either don't know about or lots of people don't know about that I've never heard before in my life. That is just like, is this a work of fiction? So, be real interesting. Right now we're in Operation Torch, and I think the first book just goes through Tunisia. So the next book that's in Italy is going to be really interesting because there's a lot of Italy stuff I don't know. Yeah, obviously I know the big picture, which is why if you don't know the big picture, some of these like tactical books are hard to read because you can't like put things in context or like, okay, this is going on now, but what else is going on at this part of the world? And you can kind of, you got to have cursory information, cursory knowledge of that, so you can put two and two together. I think for me to enjoy it, so I can do stuff like that because I mean, I know World War II well, but I don't know the I go in there with a loop, and really analyze some things that are happening at tactical levels of different things. Like I know very cursory information about Tunisia. So when we get to Tunisia, I'm gonna find all kinds of stuff out that I had no idea of. This would be a pain in the butt to do without a liner type brush. You heard MacArthur referred to as Big Mac on an episode of MASH the other day. Never heard that before. I never heard of it either, but I've never watched a whole episode of MASH. It just doesn't appeal to me. That must have been a CBS show. Seems like CBS shows just don't appeal to me. I don't know, the way that they're done or something like that. I don't know. The way their movie sets are, but I didn't grow up with anybody that liked to watch it. We had our model meeting, a model holiday group, and people had a couple of months ago. People had turned in suggestions for monthly things and different themes, and they cut them all up in little pieces of paper, and then they drew them, which I thought was a pretty decent way to do it. One of the themes I suggested was picked, which was snow. I actually suggested snow and desert because, so snow's coming up, I don't know, May or something like that. We got to get our shit together and do a snow vehicle by then. Never done one, but I'm not scared. There's enough examples of people doing things correctly that to gear you in the right direction. Let's see, what are these themes? Pretty interesting, actually. I think the first one coming up in January is like your oldest model or something like that. And I think it's your oldest model already built. My oldest one built is that Panther that I still have is the Panther, but it's been repainted. And it looks pretty decent now. It didn't look bad before. I don't think I've got anything really, really old. I'm going to really have to think about that. Yeah, because I've repainted all my old stuff. What else do we have on here? Vietnam, that's going to be difficult. We may not do one that time. I know I can do an Australian Centurion. But I'm never going to war game Vietnam, so I'll set that one out. Russia, World War II, ships. I'm not going to build a ship. I mean, I love ships, but that's just going down a rabbit hole. Oh, you know what? I'll bring one of my 2400 scale ships that look really good. Snow vehicles, movie and TV. I don't know. I don't know what we'll do for movie and TV. Humor, World War One, Korean, 3-color camouflage. I got enough of them. Sci-fi. So it's an interesting mix of stuff. AMT funny car, probably mongoose or snake. What was that about? Oh, your oldest one? So a lot of these cars, there's of the people, and I'm going to say there's 20 members, depending on who shows up. 20 or so members. 20 or so. I would say they fall into groups. The people that do, the most common group of people that build models is aircraft. And the largest group of aircraft, I would say, is World War II. The second group of aircraft is modern, but most people do aircraft. Then armor is number 2, a strong number 2. And then, like everything else, cars and stuff like that. Something about me wants to build a car. But one of the things that I like about this is I don't mind building an aircraft, but it's going to be 1/72nd. All my stuff is 1/72nd or 1/76th. I'm fine with either one of them. I prefer 1/72nd because the figures tend to be on the larger size. But it just makes sense to have them both the same size so you can see how they compare to each other. You can't look at this and go, man, this Morris tractor really isn't very big. And there's four guys on a bench seat, and they're getting to know each other really well. Because really, you can't you can't do that if this is 1/35th scale. So the comparison of the 222 armored car is longer than the Morris. You can't do stuff like that if it's difficult to do if you can't compare them side by side, which may not matter to some people, but it does to me. I think that's an appeal. So I'd want to do a car in 1/72nd. I don't think they make them 1/64th. Repaint a 1/64th car. I've done that before. Except they usually have guns for other things. The thing about cars is I don't watch NASCAR. I don't watch racing. I don't lust for muscle cars like many people do. Never had one. Muscle cars don't excite me. I'm more of a handling person than a raw horsepower. And I don't know that those muscle cars have that much horsepower by today's standards, and they just weighed metric. I was going to say a metric ton. No, they weighed metric tons, so that you might have 400 horsepower, but your vehicle weighs four times more than my car weighs now, so you're weighted down by that. And they got sloppy ass steering. I had to drive a work truck 2 days ago. Went to go move my daughter out of her dorm, and big Ford truck. It was just a 150, but it was big. And you're driving like this, and you can do this with the steering wheel, and the truck doesn't move. I'm like, I'm not used to that. I'm used to precision. Did a lot of 140 World War II aircraft and 48 scale. Never loved that scale. It's neither here nor there. I don't know. I don't hate you for it. Do the scale that you want to do. But I just never warmed up to that scale. They didn't make a lot of stuff. Like, you had aircraft, you had no armor to compare it to. There's some 148 scale stuff, but not like 1/72nd scale things. I had a train set when I was growing up, and my dad decided he had the HO scale, which they make everything in, and he decided to get me O. And it was really frustrating as a kid not going to a store. Well, now you don't have to go to a store. They don't exist anymore, really. But going to a hobby store, and there was like nothing ever in this scale of my trains, ever. And it was just really frustrating. So maybe that's part of I don't ever want to get in that situation again. I don't want to ever go to a place, and like, oh, there's nothing for you here. You're doing the wrong scale, kind of thing. So. And O is like 48th, right? I think O is 48th. They're pretty close. S is 64th. I think O is 48th. There's nothing wrong with that scale per se. It's just variety, that's all. I'd do 48th before I do 28 millimeter. There's no doubt. I'm not doing 28 millimeter. Nope. Ain't gonna do it. You don't need me to do 28 millimeter. There's already lots of people that do that. All right, let's look at this side. We're okay there. We're okay there. And same thing with 1/44th. I may have even actually bought a 1/44th scale model and never built it. It would have been a backfire. A backfire bomber. It's a beautiful aircraft. I know, it's probably a piece of shit. Well, I don't care. But that's a big plane. I was like, if you're gonna do a B-1 bomber, damn near the prettiest plane ever built. Although that's a very hard category to do, but there's just, man, this B-1 is just beautiful. I mean, other than it being a modern aircraft, which I don't really have an affinity for, and it be of a type that I'm not really interested in, but the lines on a B-1 are just gorgeous. There's a lot of aircraft that are attractive. There's a lot of ugly ones too, but there's a lot of aircraft that are attractive. Of every nation. Every nation has really attractive aircraft. Actually, I did have a 148 scale plane. Never finished it. Because it wasn't available 172nd. I believe it was 148th. I'm pretty sure it was. It was God, what was the name of the company of it? It was some off-brand DO-17 bomber that I had that was used in early World War II. Not the DO-17Z, but the previous one, the Flying Pencil one. They used it in the Spanish Civil War and DO-17E maybe. Your favorite is the F-15 of all planes. Period. I don't know that I have a favorite plane. I don't really like flying, so there's that. I don't know that I'd want to go if somebody says, "Hey, let me take you for a spin in your favorite plane." I don't think I'd take them up on it. I just really don't like I really don't like flying. It's really like a I'm doing drugs experience. Like it's surreal. Like, is this really happening? It is just a mind fuck. I don't really like it. Even commercial flying, I don't like it. I look out the window the whole time. It's fascinating. It's like it's too fascinating. It's like there's no way this is possibly happening. Kind of fascinating, and it disturbs me on that level. I start to sound like a Amish person or something like that. I put an Amish person on a plane. Oh, I'd feel a lot better about flying if I could go in the cockpit while it wasn't. You can't do that anymore. But just like, hey, if somebody's gonna crash the plane, it ain't gonna be me. I'm telling you, that's just you can rest assured that it won't be me tampering with things and bringing a plane down. And I'm supposed to do a lot of flying next month. I'm going to have to hit the whiskey. We're just going to have to do that. Luckily, I don't have to drink that much for it to chill me the hell out. But it's just super weird. Flying is just really weird. I mean, space has got to be even worse. It's got to be space has to be that times a million. Like the experience that I got no interest in doing that. That's just don't. We're gonna stay on this earth. Thank you. Okay, so here's the two armored cars. We got to do some tinkering to them, and nothing crazy. The swastikas did get put together okay. They assembled all right. Had to put the two halves together. So the next thing is we're going to put the grenade traps on them. Clean up the white on the front there. But we got to wrap this one up because we got to go to the lovely salt mines for the rest of the day. But thanks for you guys stopping by as always, and we will see you guys